voter turnout in
Yes.
2024.
Okay.
We had more than a 58% voter turnout in Baramulla. We had
Okay.
more than a 72% voter turnout in Udhampur. We
Right.
had more than a 67% voter turnout
Right,
in
Sanju.
Rajouri. तो यहाँ बैठकर भाषण मत दो बीजेपी को.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Sushil Pandit, I've run out of time. Giving 30 seconds to you. Sanju says that Farooq Abdullah has to smell the coffee. Maybe he is smelling the coffee. He understands that his son has lost because there is certain sentiment on the ground and he is catering to that, which is unfortunate. But do you think that's happening?
Abhishek, both Farooq Abdullah and Umar Abdullah, or for that matter, Muftis and loans and Bukharis and Azads are part of the problem, not part of the solution. If they pander to separatist tendencies and interests in Kashmir Valley in order to become politically relevant, they are not to be touched with the barge pole. They are the problem. And I will not be surprised if BJP, in the name of expedience, would again collaborate with them for political convenience in future. That is the problem. That is the challenge. And we have to brace up for it.
Fair enough.
Today they can keep screaming fire and brimstone against the Abdullahs and Muftis and rest of the cabal. But come elections, the arithmetic of poll results will be a very convenient excuse
Right.
to collaborate with them all over again.
Right.
And that will harm the country much more than these idiotic statements
Abhishek.
that come out of Farooq Abdullah and Mahbub.
Okay, quickly 10 seconds. Quickly 10 seconds, Ahmad Ayaz, I'm wrapping up. Quickly 10 seconds.
With all that what Sushil Pandit said, though I don't agree partly with him that everybody is the part of the problem, but let me tell him that the possibilities cannot be ruled out that BJP can have a government with any of these parties tomorrow, at least with National Conference.
Of course.
I don't see. I don't see the possibilities of getting them together.
Okay, irrespective of what politics plays out, what Farooq Abdullah has said today is unfortunately crossing a red line, and I believe if the BJP is serious, they should set an example. They should do something so that Farooq Abdullah realizes that there are going to be costs if you take on the armed forces in the manner that it could have demoralizing consequences. On that note, thank you so much, Ahmad Ayaz and Vivek Srivastav. Sanju stays with me for the next conversation that we are having. Of course, thank you, Sushil Pandit. Remember what happened in the morning, friends. In a tragic reminder of past incidents, a 13-year-old boy lost his life after accidentally coming into contact with an electric pole while wading through a flooded Patel Nagar. This incident has put the spotlight back on Delhi's apathy and misgovernance, because this is not the first case. Remember, an aspiring civil servant suffered a similar fate in June. Fatal threats are lurking in the waterlogged streets posed by criminal civic apathy in AAP-ruled Delhi. Or is it just AAP-ruled? Take a look at this report, then I come back for a conversation.
In a shocking civic apathy that's coming to the fore in the national capital, a 13-year-old boy was electrocuted to death in the outer Delhi's Ranhola area on Sunday. The 13-year-old was playing cricket in an open field when he accidentally touched an electric pole supplying power to a nearby cattle shed in the Kotla Vihar Phase 2 area of Delhi. A PCR team arrived at the scene after receiving a word of the incident and rushed the 13-year-old to the nearby DDU hospital. However, the boy was declared brought dead on arrival at the hospital. The incident revived memories of aspiring civil servant who was electrocuted to death as he tried to hold an iron gate for support while trying to navigate a waterlogged street near the Patel Nagar metro station. A live cable from a damaged submersible water pump had come in contact with the gate, turning it into a death trap. Soon after the apathy came to light, the government initiated bulldozer action against the Gaushala over allegations of electricity theft.
A bulldozer action has been undertaken now at the Goshala, where the wire was passing through the wire which was illegally pulled out from the cricket zone. And as you can see behind me, the JCB is there, and this area has now been bulldozed. What we are getting to know that the owner of this place, Mr. Satpal, he had in fact taken this action, and we are also getting to know that this Goshala was initially sealed, but no legal action was taken against the owner of the Goshala. And despite several complaints, when the residents had complained about the theft of electricity as well as how the condition of the cows were here, there was no action taken by the administration or the police. Now what we are seeing is the bulldozer action that is being done. The entire Goshala has now been razed, and this after the 13-year-old boy was electrocuted, and he was killed because of the electrocution of that happened yesterday. We'll also go ahead and speak to a few people here. You can see currently this is the scenario. One police constable is present here as the entire bulldozer action has taken place.
As yet another life falls prey to the shocking civic negligence, the big question is, when will the ruling Aam Aadmi Party wake up?
All right, continuing from the earlier conversation, Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. We also have Abhishek Sudhir, political analyst, leans towards the right. And it's versus Kapil Madan, political analyst, leans towards the Congress party. And Akash Deep Muni, political analyst, here to defend the Aam Aadmi Party. And I would want to speak from my heart. When I was deciding for this debate topics in the afternoon, what to pick up, I could have taken 1 hour on Farooq Abdullah, and it would have been a hot debate. And you saw a glimpse of that earlier, friends. And I was also thinking that maybe we could discuss the Hindu protests in Bangladesh and elsewhere to make sure that the interim government in Dhaka takes care of the Hindu minority there, the kind of violence that has panned out. But then I thought, let me focus on this very important story, very, very important story. This 13-year-old boy lost his life. He was playing cricket. He saw a ball going in a corner. He went there at that corner of the field, and he got electrocuted. We had about a fortnight or a month back another instance of an IAS aspirant in Delhi's Patel Nagar getting electrocuted similarly. And I was going through statistics. The reason why I picked up this conversation is that in the last 1 year, there have been 50 instances of electrocutions in which 26 individuals have lost life in national capital. Now, that gives you an idea of the kind of civic mess we are in. And also include the Rajendra Nagar deaths of another 3 civil services aspirants when the basement there got flooded. So where to start the conversation? My simple question is, this is India's national capital. Who's in charge? Who would want to pick up from this panel? And please speak with your heart in it, because these kind of, extinguishing of lives, it does not look good for the country. Sanju, you want to pick it up? Please do.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. Yes, the last debate was a rather feisty one, but no hard feelings. I want to say this, Abhishek, and I've said this on umpteen occasions. I'm speaking here not just as the national spokesperson of BJP, I'm wearing 2 hats. I'm also speaking as a bona fide and a thinking and empowered citizen at that. And let me make a few quick points. Point number 1, whether there's a tragedy by way of electrocution or people drowning or civic apathy on the part of bureaucrats or the government in question, that needs to be condemned irrespective of the political affiliation that you may or may not have. Having said that, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room. It's time to take the bull by the horns. And let me say this, be it the GNCTD Act of 1991, the Delhi Administration Act of 1966, the NCT Act of 1993, if you read all these 3 in conjunction, they clearly tell you one thing. And this has been reinforced in various Supreme Court judgments, which I'm sure Abhishek Sudhir can elaborate upon. Be it land, police, or law and order. These are 3 domains that come under the prerogative of the central government /LG/Union Home Ministry. But when it comes to the Delhi Jal Board, when it comes to public works department, when it comes to health, when it comes to sanitation, when it comes to flood management, all these fall under the aegis of Arvind Kejriwal and his ministers. There is no way Arvind Kejriwal can cite confusion and deflect and digress from the issue at hand. My simple point is this. On the one hand, you say, अरे भाई दिल्ली जल बोर्ड ने तो अभी बहुत पैसा बनाया है, अरे दिल्ली का बजट आउटले तो 76,000 करोड़ है, जिसमें से 61,000 करोड़ is for women safety, child development, health, sanitation, education, flood management, blah blah blah. If 61,000 crores out of 76,000 crores is for irrigation, PWD works, health, sanitation, pray tell me, how are people in India's national capital dying because they are getting drowned in basements which were given NOC by the current incompetent Kejriwal dispensation? How are people dying because they've been electrocuted thanks to civic apathy?
Yeah.
Atishi, Saurabh Bhardwaj, who between them manage more than 24 ministries, since Arvind Kejriwal continues to run the show from within the confines of Tihar jail, flouting section 585 of the Tihar jail book.
Okay.
My simple question is, why is it that accountability is a word that is alien to Arvind Kejriwal? Do not deflect this to the LG. And by the way, assuming hypothetically, Abhishek, that the LG is responsible, is Kejriwal not supposed to work together with the LG? Arvind Kejriwal has a problem with the current LG VK Saxena. Arvind Kejriwal had a problem with the past LG Anil Baijal. Arvind Kejriwal had a problem with the past LG Najib Jung. When Sushma Swaraj was the chief minister, LG Congress के थे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी. When Sahib Singh Verma was the chief minister from BJP, LG Congress के थे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी. When Madan Lal Khurana was the chief minister from Bihar, LG Congress के थे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी. Does Kejriwal understand the meaning of the word teamwork?
Sanju.
I think no.
Okay,
the answer is no.
Okay. Oh, okay, you got your long opening, but you see, in the larger question about who's responsible for Delhi, Akashdeep Muni, there is also this question, who's really in charge of the GNCTD, which is the government of the National Capital Territory of Delhi? Is Arvind Kejriwal still running the government? If yes, how effectively? And if no, then who's really in charge? Whom should we ask Akashdeep Muni in cases like this? Because, for example, I was looking at this report, the National Human Rights Commission wanted to understand, was disturbed like I am disturbed, like you are disturbed today. They had to issue notice, but they did not know whom to issue notice for these deaths that are happening in Delhi because of flooding, for example. So they issued notices to the GNCTD, they issued notices to the Delhi Police Commissioner, they issued notices to the Delhi Development Authority Vice Chairman, which is obviously under the control of the Lieutenant Governor, DDA. So which means even a body like NHRC, Akashdeep Muni, does not know who's running Delhi. What about the common man, common woman? Where to seek redressal?
See Abhishek, today we have people here sitting and just playing politics over apathy. They are shedding crocodile tears.
So you don't do that.
They are doing politics. Now listen to me. You have not interrupted her. Let me also not be interrupted. They are shedding crocodile tears and they are doing politics. And the political analysts are also doing politics. I'll tell you, I'll prove you. Rahul Agarwal, who takes care of Asha Kiran shelter home. 14 people died in 1 month. What action did LG take? Did he?
Asha Kiran is run by Kejriwal. Asha Kiran is not run by the LG.
Politicians
don't lie on national TV. Asha Kiran is run by the social welfare department of
Okay, Sanju, I have to stop you.
Now you
I will counter.
BJP-led.
Sanju, I will counter him.
Do a debate, BJP-led debate.
Who came on national television
Okay, now I'll again tell you again I want to.
Okay, Sanju, I will counter him. Sanju, I will counter him. Please let me do that. Sanju.
Now listen to me.
Sanju.
Now listen to me. One boy fell down in an open manhole run by Delhi Development Authority.
No. I have to correct you, Akashdeep Muni.
Kumar, you were shamelessly defending Bibhav Kumar.
Let's not jump. This was not the purpose. So sorry. No, I have to stop both of you. Sanju, please pull back. Akashdeep Muni, please pull back. Let me retrieve the conversation. This was not the purpose. No. Sanju, pull back. Akashdeep Muni, pull back. I am asking both of you to pull back. This was not the purpose of this conversation. I began on a very serious note. You are insulting. No. Okay, pull back. You are insulting you are insulting the sentiments of those families who have people.
You are not able to answer the debate.
I'm so sorry. I am really unhappy that this is happening. Akashdeep Muni, please pull back for God's sake. Sanju, please. Sanju, no, this is no. Okay, listen. You see, let's not insult the sentiments. Akashdeep, for God's sake, I asked. Sanju has pulled back. You have to stop now. Okay.
I say condemn Bibhav Kumar.
No, I'm not going to Vibhav Kumar. Akashdeep Muni, we are not talking about the shelter home, please.
Arvind Kejriwal, why is he running sarkar from Tihar jail? हिम्मत है तिहाड़ जेल के अंदर से सरकार क्यों चलाई जा रही है, इसका जवाब दो। केजरीवाल ने तो कहा था हम तो जी नई तरीके से राजनीति करेंगे। ये आपका कौन सा नया तरीका?
This is so unfair.
Please tell me why Kejriwal?
Sanju, 4 minutes left. I have to get in.
Cannot resign.
I have to get in Kapil. I have to get in Abhishek. Sudhir, please pull back. Akashdeep Muni, no, I'm not allowing this. Akashdeep Muni, Sanju has to stop. You have to stop now. Okay, stop. Sanju has stopped. Akashdeep Muni, you have to stop now. Please don't insult the sentiments of those people who have lost their loved ones to this civic apathy, and that is what we are discussing. Tonight we are not discussing Bibhav Kumar. We are not discussing the shelter home case.
You can lower my voice. You can lower my voice, but I am waiting for the day when Republic hears the other side. आम आदमी पार्टी voice कब सुनोगे? भाई कब सुनोगे? उन्होंने जो बोला मैंने नहीं बोला, मुझे तो
Akashdeep, this is unfair hijacking of a conversation, a serious conversation I was attempting.
For you to condemn Satyendra Jain.
Sanju, I'm not discussing Satyendra Jain, for God's sake.
I'm waiting for you to condemn incompetent Saurabh Bhardwaj. हर चीज में एलजी के ऊपर टीकरा मत फोड़िए.
Okay, fair enough.
Minister is Arvind Kejriwal.
Sanju, I am left with just 2 minutes, please. Okay, Akashdeep Muni, it's really unfair. Viewers are not fools. They understand. Maybe. What is happening in Delhi? This question has a lot of meaning. That when I ask, who's really responsible? It's such a maze. I gave you an example that even the NHRC does not know who's running Delhi, and that's why they're shooting off notices to whosoever they think perhaps could respond and, take responsibility. The problem is, Abhishek, Sudhir, Kapil Madan, quick words to you each, because unfortunately I am running out of time in 2 minutes. Who's responsible in Delhi? Abhishek first and then Kapil Madan.
Well, Abhishek, I just want to speak honestly. I want to speak from the heart. I think Sanju will not mind my saying this. Today we find ourselves on the same side, but both of us have been on opposing sides, and we both once have been associated with the Aam Aadmi Party in the past. I cannot speak to why Sanju was, but the reason I was I saw hope in Arvind Kejriwal. We all supported Arvind Kejriwal during India Against Corruption. We hoped that Arvind Kejriwal would change the face of Indian politics. We hoped that he would be the Nayak that we all have been waiting for decades and decades. Arvind Kejriwal, from being an anti-corruption crusader, has gone to become the face of corruption. I resigned from the Aam Aadmi Party more than a year ago. I've never spoken about it publicly. The reason I resigned from the Aam Aadmi Party was the Sheesh Mahal controversy. And I was inducted into the party by Mr. Sanjay Singh, no less. So it's not as though I just went and took membership in the party office. I was inducted by Sanjay Singh. Today I'm speaking publicly about it because Sheesh Mahal is not why I joined the Aam Aadmi Party. Several engineers have been suspended yesterday for invoking the urgency clause during COVID-19 to facilitate the construction of the Sheesh Mahal. Right? Arvind Kejriwal has to take responsibility. He has let India down. He has let all of us down.
Kapil
He had
Madan.
an opportunity to change the nature of Indian politics. He didn't. And I just want to make a point, Abhishek. You contrast that with Narendra Modi. Whatever Narendra Modi might have said during the campaign trail, he was in
Okay,
Wayanad
Kapil Madan.
consoling a Muslim woman and her son.
No,
Mr.
Kapil
Modi
Madan.
he could have washed his hands
Okay.
off Wayanad.
Kapil
the
Madan.
same way Rahul Gandhi has washed his hands off the Hindus
Okay.
in Bangladesh.
Okay.
But Narendra Modi stepped up for
Abhishek.
the Muslims of Wayanad, even though they would never vote for him.
Okay, I'm not
That's
going
what
there.
a true leader does.
Okay,
He
Abhishek,
goes
you made your
beyond
point, but I'm not going there.
politics
Kapil
and he
Madan,
governs. Arvind
you see,
Kejriwal has
you are
not
a resident
governed.
of Delhi.
Arvind
Okay, Abhishek, you made a point.
This is a failure of
Just last word to Kapil. Last minute. I'm left you just 1 minute. Kapil, you are a resident of Delhi. You are a lawyer. You know how law works. And you know how Delhi works. In 2017, 50 properties were sealed in Defense Colony, DEFCOL as it is called. Educated, literate, rich, well-off, well-connected people live in DEFCOL, as I understand. And these properties were sealed for not following the urban planning bylaws. In the last 4 years, the electricity utility companies have issued 1.2 lakh notices, 1.2 lakh notices across Delhi for violation of their rules when it comes to electricity connections. So obviously something is broke. This bulldozer action, Kapil, that was done today, post facto. Couldn't that illegal structure or Goshala or whatever it was been removed before that 13-year-old boy died?
Abhishek, I'll make 2 points here. One is that, if the accident has happened because of negligence of any particular private property owner, then you will need to go against that person because he is directly responsible. Because of his negligence, the accident happened. Now, there could be another situation also where the negligence has happened at the instance of the public officials. Now, in that situation, you need to book the public officials. Remember, in the Rajendra Nagar droning incident, there is a report filed by the concerned officers that the stormwater drain was not working, and that's the primary reason because of which the water went into the basement. So in that situation, basement was also being used illegally, and also there was negligence at the on the part of the public officers.
Okay.
Now the point I'm trying to make here
refused to clear
is
a
that we as a
proposal
citizen
to
also
unclog those drains.
Abhishek, please hold on.
I've run out of time.
Kapil.
Kapil, if you can
Stop making
conclude in 10
apologies
seconds.
for
I've run out of time. Kapil, 10 seconds.
Saurabh Bharadwaj's fault. The buck
No, Abhishek, no, there's no time for that now. Kapil, 10 seconds. 10
I want to
seconds.
fix
10 seconds.
responsibility and accountability of the concerned officials. Why would you have, a law that gives the power to the LG to, transfer, suspend public officials in Delhi? Why would you?
No, I'm not going into that. I'm not going into that. Whosoever said, no, sorry, I've run out of time. Thank you so much. Sanju Verma, Abhishek Sudhir, Kapil Madan, and Akashdeep Muni for joining us. I'm not going there. The only point on which I would end is, whosoever sent that bulldozer to that illegal Goshala should have sent that before that 13-year-old boy lost his life. We'll continue this conversation maybe whenever it is needed, and we'll keep searchlight on the authorities, irrespective of which political dispensation. Thank you so much, friends, for joining us. Short break. Live and Breaking is on the other side. Join at 8 p.m. tomorrow, Super Prime Time Max with Arnab Goswami.
We continue to work intensely to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East and to prevent the spread of conflict. President Biden spoke today to President al-Sisi of Egypt and to Emir Tamim of Qatar. These are the two countries that, along with the United States, are mediating negotiations to reach a ceasefire, to get the release of hostages. As the leaders discussed, the negotiations have now reached a final stage, and they agreed on the urgency of bringing this process to closure. Concluding that agreement and avoiding any action that could somehow disrupt it is the only path to ending the conflict in Gaza and bringing calm to the region. It's critical that all parties work to finalize an agreement as soon as possible. we continue to work intensely to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East and to prevent the spread of conflict. Over the past few days, we've been in constant contact with partners in the region and well beyond. In those conversations, we've heard a clear consensus. No one should escalate this conflict.
Hello and a very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching Republic TV and I'm Rakshita Mishra with you. Let's get started with all the top story making headlines at this hour.
We want justice! 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 Justice!
Hindus across the globe unite against attacks on minorities in Bangladesh as concerns continue to mount. Days after her ouster, Sheikh Hasina makes a big claim. She hints at United States' role in the unrest once again. Uproar over Kolkata trained Dr. Abhaya's death. Hospital staff continues to hit the streets for a second day. Yet another shocking civic apathy in the national capital. 13-year-old electrocuted to death. Farooq Abdullah crosses the line, claims a terrorist army nexus, remains defiant on it, asks what is so controversial about the statement. Adani Group refutes Hindenburg's latest allegations, calls it malicious and manipulative. SEBI boss also denies the claims. Protests have erupted globally in response to the attacks on Bangladeshi Hindus. In the United Kingdom, a symbolic protest was held by the Hindu community at Cathedral Square, demanding urgent action to protect Hindus in Bangladesh. The call to save Bangladesh Hindus is resonating across the world, with growing concerns for the safety and the rights of minority communities in the region. Here's a report.
Want justice! Don't kill it! We want justice! We want justice!
London, New York, Israel, Sweden, India. The world has erupted in protest against the targeted violence against Hindus and minorities in Bangladesh. The protest took center stage in trouble-torn Bangladesh. At the receiving end of the horrific mob violence, arson and vandalism, members of the Hindu community in Bangladesh came out on the streets to protest against the atrocities. With their backs against the wall in the face of unrelenting attacks, the Hindus rallied on the streets of the besieged nation, seeking to draw global attention to their plight. Meanwhile, the Hindus as well as the people from the Jewish community took to the streets in the United Kingdom to seek justice for the distressed minorities in Bangladesh in the face of attacks.
In Bangladesh, our brothers and sisters, our Hindu brothers and sisters in specific, they're being attacked for no reason at all. It went from protesting for the quota system to attacking our Hindu brothers and sisters for no reason, destroying temples, putting fire in people's houses for no reason. So we're protesting today to help our people.
Under the banner that read "Save the Hindus of Bangladesh," the protesters marched outside the British Parliament, calling on the world powers to stand with the minorities in the strife-torn country. The Hindu community also staged a symbolic protest with an orchestra at the Cathedral Square in London. The That's not all. A large number of protesters also gathered outside the United Nations headquarters in New York in protest. Similar scenes were witnessed outside the Swedish parliament too, where protesters called out targeted attacks. With the genocide of Hindus in Bangladesh drawing global outrage and evoking calls for justice, can the world look away and play deaf?
Viewers, as the interim Bangladesh government struggles to contain the radical elements that are running riot on the streets of Bangladesh, unleashing violence, targeting the minorities, the Hindus, the deposed former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, has once again hinted at United States' role behind the unrest, behind the toppling of a government. And now this report has been published in a Bangladesh daily. It also cites a report from an Indian media outlet that there were US powers behind the tumultuous events leading to the fall of her government. Meanwhile, the besieged nation, in fact, has just witnessed Justice Syed Rifat Ahmed taking over as the new Chief Justice of Bangladesh after just a day after his predecessor, Justice Ubaidul Hassan, had stepped down in the face of an ultimatum from the radical Islamists. Take a look at this report to know the latest.
As Bangladesh slipped further into disarray, with the minority Hindus facing persecution and wanton acts of violence, deposed former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina made some explosive claims. In her first reaction since her ouster and flight to India, Hasina accused the US of being behind the violent protests and uprising that rocked her regime and eventually led to her fall. A top Bangladesh daily cited a report in the Indian media to claim that Hasina, in a message to party supporters, said that the US was among the foreign powers that orchestrated her exit. The report further quoted Hasina as saying that she could have remained at the helm if she had acceded to the US demand of a base on the St. Martin's Island. However, the Daily stopped short of independently verifying Hasina's comment. Her son Sajib Wazid had earlier claimed foreign involvement behind his mother's ouster, hinting at a role by Pakistan's ISI, China, and even the US.
Spoken quite clearly about the Pakistani involvement in this. And I've said also on my program that the Jamaat-e-Islami is nothing but an agent of the ISI. So is this the undoing of 1971?
Well, 1971 was undone in 75, and my mother came and fixed the country again. And so this is the third time this has happened in Bangladesh. And yes, absolutely, I have no doubt ISI has a hand in this. I have no doubt other foreign powers that oppose our government have a hand in this.
What do you really feel about the Americans supporting the generals? Saying well done to the generals?
Well, this is what the Americans do around the world, and every time their policy fails, and now they have turned Bangladesh, which was a developing country, which was a success story, an Asian tiger, now it's going to become like another Pakistan, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, besieged Bangladesh saw Justice Syed Rifat Ahmed come in as the Chief Justice in place of Justice Ubaidul Hassan, who was forced to resign after a dire ultimatum from Islamic radicals. Justice Ahmed was appointed to the top post by President Mohammad Shahabuddin on Saturday night. Earlier, student protesters were seen massing outside the Bangladesh Supreme Court, piling pressure on Hassan to step aside. As the new Chief Justice took over, Wazid made another sensational claim, saying that the protests threatened to storm the apex court and burn Hassan's residence to the ground. There were fears that the country's cricket administrative body could also be managed by an interim board, as all the top office bearers are in their hiding or their locations unknown. Meanwhile, more voices in India and across the world came out against the rising attacks on minorities in Bangladesh.
बांग्लादेश में जिस प्रकार से हिंदुओं का नरसंहार हो रहा है, हिंदुओं को सरेआम घरों में जलाए जा रहे हैं, मंदिरों को तोड़े जा रहे हैं, और इसका परिणाम क्या है? इसका परिणाम ये है कि पूरी तरह बांग्लादेश के हिंदू अल्पसंख्यक डरे हुए, समे हुए हैं। वो अपनी जान बचाने के लिए सीमाओं पे आ रहे हैं और सीमाओं पे रोका जा रहा है। आखिर जो नागरिक संशोधन बिल पास हुआ था कि बांग्लादेश पाकिस्तान के जो हिंदू बसे हुए हैं उनको शरण दी जाएगी, यही वो समय है जब बांग्लादेश के हिंदुओं को तत्काल उनके लिए सीमाओं को खोला जाए और उनको नागरिकता दिया जाए और यहाँ पे उनकी जान बचाया जाए। नहीं तो वहाँ पे दरिंदे, भेड़िए, आतंकी जो कट्टरपंथी हैं वो चाहते हैं कि किस प्रकार के वहाँ के हिंदुओं को, जो 1971 में जब उस समय 18% हिंदू थे और आज 7% हो गए, उस 7% हिंदुओं को भी समाप्त करने पे तुले हुए।
As chaos and disharmony reigns supreme in Bangladesh, will the US come clean on whether it colluded with other foreign powers and forced a regime change in the country to meet its strategic goals?
Now, viewers, there is heat that is being faced by the Mamata Banerjee government after the brutal details of the rape and murder of a junior doctor has been emerging. And now there are demands by the BJP that Mamata Banerjee must step down as there's a complete breakdown of law and order in the state of West Bengal. Now, the junior doctors of the hospital have protested. They are staging a sit-in protest demanding justice. Remember, one person has been arrested up until now. The BJP has upped the ante and the police is also right now conducting the investigation. Here's a report to know all the details.
The glaring lack of security at the state-run RG Kar hospital in Kolkata came under scrutiny in the wake of a bone-chilling rape and murder of trainee doctor Abhaya. As the protests over the horrific incident continue to get bigger and spread beyond the RG Kar compound to the SSKM hospital, the police are finally swinging into action. Meanwhile, the Federation of Resident Doctors Association threatened of the halting of medical services in solidarity with the victim. The Indian Medical Association has issued a 24-hour ultimatum. They have warned of a nationwide protest. While two guards in charge of the hospital's seminar hall, where the trainee doctor was found dead, was suspended for dereliction of duty, an accused has been placed under arrest. Sanjay Roy was a civic volunteer with the 4th Armed Forces. Republic spoke to the accused's sister-in-law, who revealed that his in-laws filed a police complaint accusing him of beating and torturing his wife. Medical services at the hospital were suspended after the savage rape and murder came to light. Doctors at SSKM sat in protest demanding that heads roll at neighbouring RG Kar over the shocking security lapses that have come to the fore after the incident. The opposition meanwhile continues to put the Mamata government and the police administration on the rack over the RG Kar incident.
एक डॉक्टर, एक पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट ट्रेनी को ऐसे खून कर दिया, ऐसे रेप करके खून कर दिया। उसका आंख से ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है, उसका मुंह से ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है, उसका प्राइवेट पार्ट से ब्लीडिंग हो रहा है, और पुलिस बोल रहे कि सुसाइड है। ये सुसाइड है? कोई निर्वस्त्र होके सुसाइड करता है? हाँ? आप लोग जो बोलेंगे हम लोग वही समझेंगे क्या? ममता बनर्जी क्यों बोला था सुसाइड? उनका सस्पेंड किया जाए, कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस को सस्पेंड किया जाए। क्यों पुलिस बोला था? क्यों फैमिली को पहले नहीं बताया गया?
Faced with mounting pressure, the Mamata government has a lot to answer for. Glaring security lapses have come to the fore, even as investigation continues, even as the political face-off continues. India is demanding justice for Abhaya.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with farmers and scientists as he released 109 high-yielding, climate-resilient and bio-fortified varieties of crops at the India Agricultural Research Institute. This initiative aims to bolster agricultural productivity and sustainability, addressing the challenges posed by climate change. The last rites of veteran leader and former External Affairs Minister Natwar Singh will be performed tomorrow. Natwar Singh passed away yesterday after prolonged illness. His final rites will take place. Last rites will take place in presence of family, friends, and dignitaries. Security measures have been tightened across Assam ahead of Independence Day celebrations. Authorities have increased vigilance and deployed additional forces to ensure the safe and peaceful environment amid the ongoing unrest in Bangladesh. Former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Farooq Abdullah has now sparked controversy by accusing the Indian Army of colluding with the terrorists. He questioned how terrorists managed to infiltrate despite the significant military presence in the region, suggesting that there could be cooperation between some soldiers and the terror groups.
नहीं है कि कंट्रोवर्शियल स्टेटमेंट किसने किया है, क्या है? सवाल इस बात का है, ये जो दवाइयां आती हैं कहां से आ रही हैं? ये जो आज मिलिटेंट्स, मैं समझता हूं ये करीबन 200-300 से कम नहीं होंगे, कैसे आए? भाई कोई तो कोई जिम्मेवार है जो जब ये क्रॉस कर रहे हैं, वतन के लोग ये पूछना चाहते हैं हो कैसे रहा है?
IG Kashmir B.K. Birdi has confirmed that a major operation is underway in the upper reaches of Anantnag in Jammu and Kashmir. The encounter, which has seen intense fighting between security forces and terrorists, is being closely monitored as forces continue their efforts to neutralize these terrorists.
गागर मंडू जो इलाका है वहाँ पर सर्च ऑपरेशन चल रहा था, तो सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस की पार्टी को कुछ फॉरेन टेररिस्ट का मूवमेंट दिखा और इसी असना में उनका जो गोलियों का तबादला हुआ आपस में और उसके बाद ये ऑपरेशन स्टार्ट हो गया.
Defence Minister Arnab Singh has expressed his sorrow over the loss of brave Indian Army soldiers during a counter-terrorist operation in Anantnag's Kolkata. In a tweet, he conveyed his heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and assured that the nation stands firmly with them in this hour of grief. A 13-year-old boy tragically died due to electrocution in Delhi while playing cricket. He came into contact with a live wire from an iron pole that was carrying electricity to a cowshed situated at the edge of the ground. Students have taken to the streets in protest over the tragic death of a postgraduate trainee doctor in Kolkata. Protest follows the recent incident at RG Kar Medical College, where the young doctor was allegedly raped and murdered. The protesters are demanding justice and accountability, calling for stricter measures to ensure the safety of the medical professionals. A stampede took place at Shahjahanpur-Howrah-Amritsar express train due to rumours of a fire. Now, passengers jumped from the moving train. Many passengers have been injured. The stampede took place due to a smoke that filled inside the train. In fact, the smoke got filled in the general coach when it was stationed at the Bareilly Junction section area. 4 injured admitted to the Shahjahanpur Medical College. Heavy rains continue to lash parts of Delhi NCR, leading to widespread waterlogging in several areas. The downpour has caused traffic disruptions and inconvenience for commuters, with authorities urging caution while travelling.
And welcome back, viewers. Now we talk about what is happening in the world of business. The chief of India's market regulator, SEBI, is facing scrutiny following allegations from US short seller Hindenburg Research. Now, Hindenburg has claimed that SEBI chairperson Madhavi Buch and her husband had stakes in offshore funds allegedly linked to the Adani Group. However, Madhavi Buch and her husband have firmly denied these allegations, calling them baseless and an attempt to tarnish their reputation. They have asserted in a joint statement that neither of them holds any such stakes, and the SEBI's ongoing investigation into the Adani Group remains impartial and unaffected by these accusations. The Adani Group has also issued a statement on the matter denying the Hindenburg allegations. Republic Business's Priyanka Das has all sides of the story. Now, if we have Priyanka, let's go to Priyanka, who will be joining us. Priyanka, we see that Hindenburg had put out a lot of claims, now statements that are from the Adani Group. Let's take our viewers through what those claims are and what the statements are from both Adani Group and from the SEBI chief.
That's right. The Adani Group and the chairperson of SEBI, Madhavi Buch, and her husband, Dhaval Buch, have vehemently, in fact, denied the allegations that have come out of the Hindenburg report. In fact, the report had alleged that Madhavi and Dhaval Buch previously held investments in certain offshore funds that were also used by the Adani Group and was used to channel foreign money. I'm reading from the statement issued by the Adani Group earlier in the day. The allegations by Hindenburg are malicious, mischievous, and manipulative selections of publicly available information to arrive at predetermined conclusions for personal profiteering with wanton disregard for the facts and the law. We completely reject these allegations against the Adani Group, which are a recycling of discredited claims that have been thoroughly investigated, proven to be baseless, and already dismissed by the Honorable Supreme Court in January 2024. And quoting from the Hindenburg report itself, it cited whistleblower documents. Madhavi Buch, the current chairperson of SEBI, and her husband had stakes in both obscure offshore funds used in the Adani money siphoning scandal. The current SEBI chairperson and her husband, Dhaval Buch, had hidden stakes in the exact same obscure offshore Bermuda and Mauritius funds found in the same complex nested structure used by Vinod Adani. Madhavi Buch and Dhaval Buch too issued a joint statement earlier in the day. We have no hesitation in disclosing any and all financial documents, including those that relate to the period when we were strictly private citizens, to any and every authority that may seek them. In fact, the joint statement issued by the couple reiterated that it is unfortunate that Hindenburg Research, against whom SEBI has taken an enforcement action and issued a show cause notice, has chosen to attempt character assassination in response to the same. And echoing a similar sentiment, the Adani company also issued a statement saying that for a discredited short seller under the scanner for several violations of Indian securities laws, Hindenburg's allegations are no more than red herrings thrown by a desperate entity with total contempt for Indian laws. The Republic Biz team is tracking all sides of the story, and we will be updating you as they develop.
All right, Priyanka, thank you for getting us all those details. We'll be coming back to you as we get more updates. And viewers, you can log on to www.republicbiz.com for more details from the world of finance, economy, and business.
After two Jawans lost their lives in a fierce exchange of fire with terrorists in the remote and dense forests of Kolkata, a fresh firing began in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district once again. Meanwhile, a civilian who was injured in the encounter succumbed to the injuries, taking the toll to 3. Watch this report to know the latest.
The forces continued to hunt for Pakistan terrorists in the dense and remote forests of Kolkata in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district after two Jawans were martyred in the encounter that broke out on Saturday. Fresh firing was reported at the scene of the Anantnag encounter on Sunday. Meanwhile, senior officers of the Jammu and Kashmir police reached the encounter site as the cordon and search operation continued to track down and neutralize the cowards. According to reports, the fierce encounter broke out after a joint security team of the Indian Army, CRPF, and Jammu and Kashmir police came under heavy fire from terrorists hiding in the dense foliage of Anantnag.
2 Indian Army Jawans martyred and 1 civilian killed in South Kashmir's Kolkata encounter. It was a joint operation of security forces receiving intelligence-based inputs about the presence of some terrorists in the Kolkata's Ahlan area. After that, we have seen exchange of fire took place there, in which 2 brave hearts of Indian Army lost their life while fighting the terrorists in the difficult terrains in South Kashmir's Kolkata. Also, area is being monitored with the drone surveillance. Jammu and Kashmir police officials reached the spot and area is being sanitized by the joint security forces.
In a separate operation, the forces engaged terrorists in a brief but intense gunfight in a remote forested area of Jammu's Kishtwar district. The gunfight ensued after the army, police and the paramilitary launched a search operation in the Nohata region following intelligence about the presence of terrorists.
Days ahead of the Independence Day, the security forces have trapped a group of Jaish-e-Mohammed in the upper reaches of the Kishtwar. Based on a specific intelligence input, the Kishtwar police along with the Indian Army and the paramilitary forces launched anti-terror operations in the Nonata area of the Kishtwar district, and during the operation, the security forces got hold of the group of terrorists of Jaish-e-Mohammed that is moving in the area, after which the encounter broke out at around 12 midnight, which went on for 3.5 hours, and since then, the operations are resuming in the area. This group of Jaish-e-Mohammed is said to be the same group that has carried out the attack on the Indian Army's temporary operating base in the Chhatargala area of the Doda district on June 11, in which 6 Army Jawans and 1 policeman got injured in the attack. And since then, the group is on the move in the upper reaches of the Doda and is now trying to move towards the Dachan area of the Kishtwar to get a safe haven.
Terrorists have got everything. On the silver plate. So that is a problem. But why is it so? Because we have so many security forces. Your narrative already says the army, paramilitary forces, police and everything is there. They should all be under one command and control. All intelligence agencies, security forces, everything reporting to one commander, one operational center. And that's how the orders should go. Then only the control is very quick. Quick control, feedback, quick feedback, quick orders, counter orders, everything is given very quickly. That is what is required here.
Earlier, Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi led all ranks of the Indian Army to pay tributes to the fallen bravehearts in Anantnag, Havildar Deepak Kumar Yadav and Lance Nayak Praveen Sharma. Meanwhile, the lobby is doubting and maligning our forces. Farooq Abdullah has made a shocking statement alleging an unholy link between forces and terrorists. As the nation bids adieu to the fallen bravehearts of Anantnag, the forces remain determined in their pursuit of terrorists behind their killing.
And as a woman, there's a balance to be struck between being tough turn that off.
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry.
And welcome viewers. We have a very special guest with us today whose journey from Muzaffarpur to MIT is no less than a dream. Hailing from a family which is deeply invested in education, journey of Dr. Sapna Sinha is no less than a fairy tale. Now a postdoctoral fellow at MIT, Dr. Sinha's name has been listed in the prestigious Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia for her research in brain and cognitive sciences. Her innovative research on nanomaterials garnered international acclaim. We welcome and congratulate you, Dr. Sinha. You have brought laurels to your family as well as your country. How do you feel about it and how did you celebrate?
Thank you very much for having me here. I feel deeply honored to have received this recognition. While I believe that there are a lot of other deserving candidates out there, I am still very grateful for the opportunity to represent my field and inspire others. As for the celebration, I've been taking some time to reflect on the journey so far that brought me here. And I'm feeling very, very thankful for the support of my family and friends who were extremely instrumental.
Ma'am, can you please walk us through your journey from Muzaffarpur to MIT? Those are two poles apart places. So how was your journey like?
So my father, my grandfather, great-grandfather, we all come from areas around Muzaffarpur and Bihar. And my mom's family, they come from Patna. So I'm pretty much ingrained in Bihar. And I went to DAV Public School in Muzaffarpur, then St. Michael's in Patna for my 12th. And then I went to Japan for my undergraduate studies and PhD at Oxford. And then I moved to Japan again for a little bit and then to MIT. To be honest, I have always just done what I like to do and what inspires me, motivates me. My goal was not to go to MIT. My goal was to keep learning and keep doing what I like to do. So it's brought me where I am. It will take other people where they need to go.
Well, good to know that you have followed your dreams. What drove you to choose Japan for pursuing BTech? It's not that usual of a person choosing Japan from India to pursue BTech. What drove you to choose Japan?
Yeah, so I am very much from Bihar, but actually I grew up in Japan. So my parents, they were working in Japan when I was a child, from the age of 2 to about 6 or 7. And then I went back in primary school and middle school as well. So after finishing my 12th in St. Michael, I wanted to go back to Japan because I have so many childhood memories. So I decided to go back and be there with my friends from childhood. So that's why I ended up there.
So ma'am, if you could take back us to those childhood memories, few of which you remember from Japan.
Yeah. So my mom, she was working at Seikei University. It's a private university. She was a researcher. And she would always take me to her lab. So everyone in her office knew me. And I was the only foreigner and I was the only kid. So it was a lot of fun being around people who are doing research and science. And I think that was a pivotal moment where I ended up also doing science.
So is that when you had decided to actually become a researcher? Was it that young?
I think so. I liked the lifestyle. I liked the people. It felt like home, you know. My parents always took me to conferences. They took me to their labs, to experimental sites. And for me, that felt like home because that's how I grew up. So that's what I wanted to do when I grew up.
Well, Dr. Sapna, now coming to narrowing down the topic on which you have done your research on, how did you actually narrow down or decide on brain and cognitive sciences as the core area of your research?
Yeah, so initially my interest in brain came from my grandfather. He was a professor in philosophy. So as you know, there's lots of different kinds of philosophers, right? So you have one school of thought, you have other schools of thought. And we had a big library at home on different kinds of ideas and different religion and, ways of thinking. So I always was very curious, why do people think in a certain way? Why do we want to do something? Why do we not want to do something? Like, what's actually going on in the brain? I did not want to study philosophy, but I wanted to study maths. So that's what I did. But after finishing my education, my PhD, I was thinking, what do I want to do next? And I thought, I want to really understand the brain. And if you think about it, and if you read more into cognitive science, we still don't have enough tools to really understand the brain. Nobody really understands the brain. So I thought I could use my engineering background to actually do some applications in the brain and contribute towards understanding this very crucial part of the body.
So, Dr. Sinha, if I may ask you, what is the relation between philosophy and brain or cognitive science? Now that you have said that you had deep interest in philosophy, how are these two disciplines related?
Well, philosophy originates from the brain, right? It's about ideas. And how did that one person came up with this idea? What was happening in their brain? That for me is really interesting and something I really deeply think about. Of course, there's a behavior science and neuroscience, and there's a lot of other departments or fields in this area, but I was generally very interested in why we think the way we think.
You are, in fact, a postdoctoral fellow in the USA now. What do you think is the difference between the Western and Indian education system, if I may ask? And what are the different parameters that are missing in the Indian system, or vice versa? What can the West borrow from India, or what can India borrow from West?
To be very honest, I think instead of focusing on the missing parameters in the US and Indian education system, I believe that we should reconsider the general approach to education everywhere, like more broadly. So no single system can perfectly serve the needs of every single student, right? Instead, I imagine a world where there's diverse approach and there's diverse educational model that allows students to choose the approach that best suits their needs, their learning style, interest, and their goal. So I think it's like no size fits all. What is it called? No one size fits all. So I think we should have different models for different students.
Right. So does interdisciplinary approach help in one way or the other?
Absolutely. It's, again, there's no single way of looking at a problem. We should look at it from diverse perspectives.
Right. So when we compare the scope of research or scientific research or social research in India versus abroad, what do you think needs to change? Since you have been associated with research for a longer period of time, you would have worked with many countries. What are the things which are missing in the Indian system, and what do you think are the exceptional things abroad?
Well, one of the biggest thing is research funding. So for instance, in the US, I believe America spends about 6%, 6.1 or 6.4% of its GDP on education, whereas India spends about 2.9% of its GDP. The numbers are comparable for UK, Germany, or other Western countries. So I think we just need, in general, more funding in the education system. And we also need a lot of outreach. In India, I feel like there's not as much outreach as there is at other places. So we need more professors, for example, from IITs or IIMs, or I don't know, from public institutions and state universities to actually go out with the students to villages or rural places and really motivate people to go for higher education.
There's serious question in my mind after what you have said. There's brain drain happening in India. A lot of students and researchers are now shifting to different countries. They are choosing not to stay in India. What might be the reason?
Opportunities for research. Again, that brings us back to the research funding. Because we don't have enough research funding, there's limited number of positions we have in the country. I think a lot of us would love to come back and research in India and stay in India. But because of the lack of opportunities or positions, I think we become limited where we can go, what we can choose, what we can work on.
Right. So, which special traits and qualities of yours led you to reach in the most coveted list, if I may ask so?
Yeah. While I'm honored to be on the list, I think a lot of my peers are also equally capable and deserving. Regarding your second question, I think obviously a lot of traits like perseverance, curiosity, collaboration, they're all very important to do good science or good work, or to have an impactful career. But I do believe that there's one thing, adaptability, which is very important in 21st century. 2 years ago, we got ChatGPT and the entire world changed. Now the technology is moving so fast. In this rapidly changing world, you should be adaptable and very flexible and open to new ideas.
So now that you have raised ChatGPT, if I may ask so, what is the exact relationship between artificial intelligence and research? We are living in the world of artificial intelligence. How is it actually influencing research?
In, I think, thousands of different ways. It's going to change research. We are constantly talking about it at MIT, in our labs. It can help you make new proteins, for example. It can help you look into avenues of science that we haven't looked at before. Because again, different perspective, right? One problem cannot be solved by just one perspective. You got to look at it from a different way. So AI would help us with that. And it would also reduce a lot of small workloads that we don't have to do so that we can be more efficient in our work. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
Right. So people say that perseverance, and I'm sure perseverance and patience are the key characteristics which leads towards a successful research career. Have you also mastered this, which has led to a lucrative career?
I don't think I've mastered anything. We are all on a continuous learning, right? A continuous learning journey and self-realization. I think self-discovery and lifelong learning process is very important. And in our traditions, we have been always taught to never, stop. So I believe you can just grow the character over time by just practicing certain skill sets over and over again.
So that probably proves that, how philosophy has in fact influenced you while studying the cognitive science. So one last message that you would wish to convey to the young researchers who probably want to be at the coveted list which you are there today?
I want to say that there is no one path to success. You know, every individual is unique and everyone's path is different. And I think there's no real failure. Everything is a learning process. You always learn. Life is a learning journey. And it's very important to find out what inspires you as an individual, what motivates you. And you have to surround yourself with people who support you, who love you, and see where life takes you. As long as you're happy, you're inspired, you will see great things.
Right. So, Dr. Sinha's dedication and determination is a sure example of how goals should be achieved. That is, a rendezvous is going to motivate many to achieve their targets. Thank you so much, Dr. Sinha, for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Na hora que ele se acertou, ele desceu de bico. Aí eu achei que tinha acontecido alguma coisa, tinha acabado a gasolina e aí eu fui correndo de casa porque eu sou morador daqui da Capela. Aí eu vi ele cair em cima do telhado de um casal.
Cuidado de explodir, meu!
Na hora que ele se acertou, ele desceu de bico. Aí eu achei que tinha acontecido alguma coisa, tinha acabado a gasolina e aí eu fui correndo de casa porque eu sou morador daqui da Capela. Aí eu vi ele cair em cima do telhado de um casal.
Então achei que ia cair no nosso quintal, foi assustador, mas graças a Deus, assim, moradores que moram aqui não teve nenhuma vítima, né? Mas as vítimas mesmo parece que foi 62 pessoas dentro do avião.
O que a gente busca agora, dentro do possível, já que as vidas dessas pessoas a gente não pode trazer de volta, é dar a melhor pronta resposta possível, uma ação coordenada e principalmente no final, lá na frente, através do trabalho investigativo, descobrir qual foi o real motivo da queda.
Portador de uma notícia muito ruim e que eu queria que todos se colocassem de pé para que a gente fizesse um minuto de silêncio, porque acaba de cair um avião na cidade de Vinhedo, São Paulo, com 58 passageiros e 4 tripulantes e parece que todos morreram. Então eu queria pedir um minuto de silêncio para as vítimas.
Well, India is scripting history in hockey back-to-back medals in the Olympics after decades now. And right now, it's an honor to have the bronze medalist men's hockey team of India right now on Republic TV. Thank you so much, Men in Blue, for joining us here. सरपंच साहब हमारे साथ हैं, उनके गांव के जो हीरो हैं, शेर भी हैं, वो भी हमारे साथ हैं. तो सरपंच साहब, पहले तो आपके साथ शुरू करूंगी. कैसा लग रहा है कि ब्रॉन्ज मेडल जो है वो आपकी कप्तानी में हमारे हाथ एक बार फिर से आया है और इतनी सालों बाद, दशकों बाद हम देख रहे हैं कि बैक टू बैक मेडल्स आए.
सबसे पहले थैंक यू. बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है क्योंकि ये हॉकी के लिए बहुत बड़ी बात है कि हम बैक टू बैक मेडल लेके आ रहे हैं ओलंपिक्स में, ऐसे बड़े टूर्नामेंट्स में. और ये बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट था हमारे लिए क्योंकि लास्ट टाइम जब जीते थे तो जश्न ऐसे मना रहे थे हम कि हमने इतने सालों बाद जीता है. बट ये बैक टू बैक आई थिंक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट था हमारे लिए कि जो हमारा कॉन्फिडेंस है, जो लोगों का बिलीव है, और आई थिंक उसको कंटिन्यू हमेशा अपने साथ में रखना. तो बहुत खुशी है, बहुत ज़्यादा खुश है मैडम.
बिल्कुल. और मैं आपसे जानना चाहती हूँ कि आप टॉप स्कोरर हैं गोल्स के मामले में. आपने इतने अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ जो हैं, बिल्कुल आपने एक अहम मोड़ दे दिया. हर मैच में आपका एक बहुत क्रूशल रोल था और साथ ही साथ आप कप्तानी भी कर रहे हैं. तो बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, हम देखते हैं कई टीम स्पोर्ट्स में कि एक कप्तान जो होता है उसके लिए प्रदर्शन को भी कहीं ना कहीं बैलेंस करना, स्ट्रैटेजी बनाना, स्ट्रैटेजी को इम्प्लीमेंट करवाना, बॉयज़ को मोटिवेट करना, खुद को भी मोटिवेट करना, परफॉर्म करना, लीड करना और साथ ही साथ अपनी कैप्टनसी की भी जो है आपको अपनी जो रेपुटेशन है वो मेनटेन करना. ये आप बैलेंस कैसे कर पाते हैं?
बैलेंस आई थिंक मैं हूँ ही ऐसा जब मैं नहीं था ऑनेस्टली, क्योंकि मेरे को चैलेंजेस पसंद हैं और मतलब अगर ग्राउंड में अगर जोश रखना है वो मेरे को पसंद है कि मेरे प्लेयर के साथ बात करना है और एक दूसरे को मोटिवेट करना वो शुरू से पसंद है. तो आई थिंक मैं अपना नेचुरल था जो मैं हूँ मैं वैसे ही करता आ रहा हूँ, अप्लाई कर रहा हूँ ग्राउंड पे. एंड ऑफ द फील्ड सम वो आपको कनेक्ट रहना पड़ता है प्लेयरों के साथ कि आप सभी के साथ बात कर रहे हो, मेक श्योर दैट सभी कंफर्ट हैं और किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है. सो सबसे बात करनी. एंड ऑन द फील्ड मेनली मेरा यही रहता है कि जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मेरे को दी गई है मैं अपनी अच्छे से निभाऊं. एंड पर उसके साथ साथ बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट रहता है कि आपने अपनी गेम पे भी फोकस करना है एंड सबको मोटिवेट रखना है आई थिंक. बट जब तक काफ़ी समय हो चुका है मेरे को खेलते हुए तो आई थिंक थोड़ा मैच्योर हो चुके हैं, एक्सपीरियंस हो चुके हैं, तो चीज़ें हैंडल हो रही हैं अच्छे से. तो आई एम सो हैप्पी दैट कि मैं कर पा रहा हूँ ये सब कुछ.
जी हर हर महादेव. जैसे जाहिर सी बात है हम बनारस वाले हैं तो हम बनारसी हैं टोटली और भगवान भोलेनाथ में हमारा बड़ा बिलीव रहता है. जितने भी लोग हैं, मेरे माँ बाप रहें चाहे पूरे बनारसी रहें, क्योंकि वहाँ का पूरा समय ही भोलेनाथ के अगल बगल ही घूमता है. तो जाहिर सी बात है मैम, हम इसलिए उस चीज़ को बहुत ज़्यादा कनेक्ट करते हैं क्योंकि हम सबको पता था कि बनारस में हॉकी बहुत ज़्यादा थी और वहाँ पे जो हम हॉकी लेजेंडरी की बात करते हैं, मोहम्मद शाहिद सर के डबल किंग, उनको वो भी वहीं से थे. तो लास्ट टाइम भी जब आफ्टर 41 ईयर हम मेडल जीत के लाए थे तो वो भी बनारस के एक वहाँ से थे. और जब हम आए तो मुझे भी मौका मिला, तो एक कोइंसिडेंस था. और दूसरा बार भी जब हम जीत के आए तो भी मैं था. तो एक एज ए टीम, पहली बात मैं बोलूँगा कि एज ए टीम जो हमने ड्रीम देखा था, डेडिकेशन, सेक्रीफाइस किया था, वो फ्रूटफुल हुआ कि हम मेडल लेके आए बैक टू बैक. और सब वही पूछ रहे थे कि पहला मेडल ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट था या अभी वाला. तो मैं बस इतना बोलना चाहूँगा कि मेडल का नाम ही मैडम एक इम्पॉर्टेंस और उसकी चाह दर्शाती है. हम उसको पहला, दूसरा, तीसरा से कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते, सीधी बात है. और उसके बाद एक ही चीज़ ये भी है कि गोल्ड की कसर इसलिए